Good evening. Welcome to the Reloading Podcast here on the Firearms Radio Network. Tonight, we're going to talk about bullets. Bullets here, bullets there, bullets everywhere. And maybe some bullets too. But we'll explain that later. First, I want to take time to thank Sean and everybody over at the Firearms Radio Network. And then Jake and Ryan at Patriot Patch Company. Bum-ba-da! Going over there for the patch of the month. Or if you want, you can stop over to firearmsradio.tv/pledge-reloading-podcast. Sign up for the $20 level of the Patreon group, and you get to be a patch of the month member as well as supporting this program. And you can win stuff. That's right. You can win stuff. A little later tonight, we're going to give away the level. Ooh, I didn't tell anybody that, did I? Oh, surprise. So I've been trying to do it outside of the podcast. Can't pull it off because, life goes crazy. This is the one time I can actually get the wife to leave me alone for an hour. So we're going to give it away tonight. Also, want to thank Buckeye Targets, BuckeyeTargets.com. They are the preferred target supplier of the podcast. That one I've actually washed off a couple times or once already, and then started shooting again, and did not have to repaint it at all. So I don't know how many rounds it's got on it, but it's all pistol. So hi, Rex. So Jeremy, since you've been gone for like Coon's age, what you been up to?
Just a couple weeks. I hadn't been doing much. Life's kind of gotten in the way, but it is what it is. I still keep up my reading and researching and stuff, so that's about all I've been able to do between the gymnastic meets and this kid and that kid having to be here and there and everywhere. So nothing too exciting. So, Jim, what have you been doing?
Not much of anything. Started a new job today. Yeah, I'm retired, but I decided to go back to work full time. Anyway, I did I said today, I met yesterday. It was funny because I walked in the office yesterday and my boss, he had a live shotgun shell sitting right there on his desk. I picked it up and I says, "Oh, this is going to make somebody uncomfortable." He says, "What do you mean?" And I started laughing. I says, "I'm just as comfortable as can be around this ammunition." Then today I showed him a 357 Magnum round that I had made up. No primer, no powder. But the bullet was a solid brass bullet made after the fashion of the old Nazi Germany regime. The Nazis were amazing with some of the inventions they created. And this particular bullet is a solid brass bullet, but it's got a 60-degree point on the nose of it. And it weighs about 90 grains, maybe about 85 grains. But it's just a simple cylinder with a cone on the end of it. It sort of works like supposedly the hydraulic effect of it, it works like a funnel going through soft tissue. And just because of the shockwave and the vortex and all that. It's called Arcane, for those of you that want to Google it. Arcane Bullets, Arcane. And if Mike was kind of semi-joking about bullets a while ago, but, well, if you look in the Lyman Cast Handbook, they actually have a 357 diameter bullet of the same exact type, except, of course, you cast it with a lead-based bullet. And they're nice and sharp. And supposedly they're pretty wicked on soft tissue. I don't know. And, well, I don't have the facilities to find out. Anyway, Jason, what about you? What were you up to this last week?
Sorry, had to unmute myself. I had plans to go shoot with Pete and Matt from Precision HQ, as you guys saw in the chat last week. But Friday night they invited me to come over and sip whiskey with them, and they started at 2. I got there at 6. I spent a couple hours with them, and then told them, "Okay, I'll see you in the morning." As I'm loading up the truck, and I actually started to warm it up. Matt texted me and said Pete was a little under the weather. We won't be going out this morning.
Whoops.
So, yep. So didn't get to go, and they went out later. They just went pistol shooting, but I was already in the middle of a project by that time.
Yeah.
Let's see. Pete took my L&L AP with the case feeder to his house, and he's got the case feeder working just fine, he says. So he and I were texting a little bit about that today. He might be buying that from me. What else? I bought a new gun case at cheapo, but I laid all my stuff out and cut out the centerpiece, so everything's laying inside the foam. First time I ever did that. It came out pretty nice. Not perfect, as I've seen on YouTube, but it's not hard to do with the electric carving knife. Made it really simple. I've got a nicer case that I want to do that too, but I decided to do it on a cheaper one first to experiment and learn, and then I'll do it on my nicer case. I think that was about it for me for this week.
How about you, Mike? You are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. So I really didn't do much. Been another one of those busy weeks. So, unfortunately. So, what I've got in front of me here is something you folks can't see because the camera is not pointed at it. But we'll fix that. Hopefully.
Foil packs.
Yeah, kind of.
Did you take your hat off, Mike?
No. Okay. So, what you're looking at is flake powder, ball powder, extruded powder. Exact same charge in each. Now, we were talking about burn rates. And as you can see, they don't all burn at the same rate.
Wow. Holy cheese.
So, now you kind of have a basic idea of why they use each powder and what they use it in. I wanted to show you the folks that last week when we were kind of talking about stuff, but unfortunately, I forgot to bring the aluminum foil. So, we didn't get to see that last week. So, first off, I was talking about bullets, but then I mentioned bullets. What's the difference? Anybody?
Bullets you buy, bullets you make.
Yep. So, bullets are cast. And how you cast them, we'll talk about later. Much later. But we'll show that later. Now, bullets come in all sorts of different shapes, sizes, packages, brands, containers. And colors. So, are these bullets? What do you think?
Did
bullets?
you? No.
No, those are slugs.
Wait a minute. Did you cast them?
No, I did not.
Okay.
So they're not my bullets, and they're not my slugs. They are, however, a loyal podcast listener and admin in the reloading rooms slugs. So that's one of my spring projects. When we get to shot shells, I'm going to show you how to blow up slugs, and then I'm going to go shoot them. Because why? Shooting's fun, right? Right.
Well, those would be Swampy's bullets.
I don't remember off the top of my head.
Anyhow,
So,
I'll bet you got 10 pounds of lead right there on your bench.
At least. And I've got a whole bunch more sitting over there because some guy, some slacker who doesn't know how to shoot anymore, made me up 1,000 40 cal.
Jim, does Swampy watch or listen to the podcast?
No. That's why I call him Swampy, because he absolutely, Jeremy knows who I'm talking about, but
yes, sir.
He absolutely demands his privacy.
Oh yeah, he's a very private
It's not Swampy. I can tell you who it is in a while, but I'll give him credit when we get to that point too. So
okay,
all right. So as you can see, there's all sorts of different stuff laying around here. Different boxes. So, what do you know? The same ones. So, kind of Horned Ace packaging change you can see from old packaging to new. And I know other people that have even more different than I do. So, we were talking about 30 grain or 30 cal last week, and I actually found those. So, as well as a whole bunch of other stuff. So these are all, these little bags here, these are all polymer. One of the guys that we had on the podcast at one point in time works for Loading Republic. And so he sent me some to demo. I just haven't gotten around to loading them. So these are actually a polymer coated versus high tech or different. These are these are from King Shooter Supply. I don't remember what they cover them with. I'll have to look that up. So these are lubed, but these are all cast. So, you know, and these are also, oh, those are my 38s. I want to put those away and buy my 40s. All right. That doesn't sound like bullets. Some. Put that away. All right. So, okay. So these are all different 40s. Those are not. So, all right. So we'll put all these different ones away. Oh, by the way, for those of you wondering, yes, you can cast your own rifle bullets. These are 30 cal. So Now, what's the difference between all these different bullets I got laying around here? First off, none of these are bullets. I didn't cast any of these. So, clarify that. The only way you really can call them bullets, honestly, is if you cast them. So, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take and lay out some of these. You can kind of see different ones. The pistol ones you can kind of see easily. Those are pretty easy to figure out. So you've got the high-tech coated here. You've got these are another, I think they're a version of the high-tech. And then you've got just your regular cast with a lube groove. So the blue is actually a groove into the bullet. And then you actually put a lubrication in there. Jim, what do you usually use for a lube if you're gonna do that versus your normal?
If I'm going to do what, Mike?
If you're gonna actually have bullets with lube grooves and you're actually gonna use a heavier duty lube versus what you normally use.
Oh, you're talking about the lubricator sizer.
Yeah,
it's a device. It works on the same principle as a grease gun. Well, what you do is you put the bullet down inside the sizing ring, give the grease a small crank with the little turn of the lever, whatever you want to call it, and it forces the lubricant into the grooves of the bullet that you see there. And when you lift it back out, your bullet is sized and lubricated. Now, what I hope Mike does is I hope he brings out some of those 40 caliber bullets that I made up for him. And I don't know for sure if I lubricated those bullets before I sent them to him or not. I can call those bullets because I made them. The stuff that's on Mike's screen right now, he bought them all. I can't call them bullets. Bullets is it's just something we picked up off of castbullets.com. And it's just a name we adopted because we simply like what we're doing. Hey, Mike, can you bring out? Thank you. I made those bullets that Mike's got right there. Mike, are those lubricated or are they plain?
They are ALOX lubricated.
Okay. What Mike's got right there in front of you is 4 different lubricant systems. If you notice that thing's not bright and shiny white lead, that's got a thin layer of lubricant all over the bullet. It's what they call tumble lubricant. And as Mike used the term ALOX, that's what they call it. I'm not sure why, but it's actually the old stuff. I remember years back. Yeah, okay, you guys joke about my age, but I remember undercoating. And this stuff has been actually cut with kerosene to make it a little bit more like Elmer's glue consistency. But anyway, so you see the red is one coating, the purple is another, and then that's a powder coat of some kind. And then the pressure fed grease grooves that Mike's got in a plastic bag by the black box. And of course, my bullets that I cast for Mike some time ago. Mike and I worked out a deal on something. But anyway, those bullets, excuse me, I didn't mean to bang the screen. I think they weigh 175 grains, and they are as cast. I don't those particular bullets. They're made. They don't need to be. They don't require or need to be lubricated size like the bullets with the blue band. Mike, what is that purple coating? Is it a purple? Is it a powder coat, or is it a version of the high tech?
It looks like it's a poly. I'm looking it up right now as we speak.
I see.
So if you can keep talking, I'll get an absolute.
Well, okay. The Midway box, is that 40 caliber bullets?
No, Midway is actually 30 cal.
Okay. But Mike was right a while ago about casting rifle bullets. The thing is, guys, with the rifle bullets, you can't run them at 3,000 feet per second. You won't like the results, I promise you. You're talking probably 15 to 1,800 tops, 1,800 tops on that, depending upon the accuracy. I know a friend that took some rifle bullets. I made sizing die for him, and he made up some 270 rifle bullets, and he fired some groups with them at 100 yards. Pleasant surprise, surprise. He got something like 2-inch groups of 270 with rifle bullets. I don't know the bullet weight or anything like that. That was a long time ago.
Okay. So, yeah, they are poly-coated. So, those are from King Shooter Supply in your old neck of the woods, kind of, Jim. So,
Where's that? Where's that? New York?
They're in Pennsylvania.
Oh.
Well,
as you guys know, Pennsylvania is a pretty big state, especially for the Eastern Seaboard.
It's actually the place that Adam Kraut, yes, that Adam Kraut, works part-time. So, or at least he did. I don't know if he still is or not, to be fully honest, but it's King Shooter Supply. Crikey, I don't see their address on here. So, but they're on Facebook. It's kingshootersupply.com or kingsshooters.com on the web. So, good pricing. The other one I've got here is Acme, and that's my personal favorite. Multiple reasons. First and foremost, because they're close to me here. We did some touring of their factory back a few years ago. So, you know, I've been out there, and they send them in these nice smaller wooden boxes, and they've got bigger ones also. Their quality control is amazing. So is King's. These are Rogers better bullets, and those are also another one that King's carries. So, but they're the standard style, your alloy. So, and most of your bullet companies are going to tell you what they're sized for. Like here, it says, "Come on, come on." Okay, it says sized 401. So, and then same on the end here if it'll show up. Yeah, size to 401. That's going to be important. Why is that important, Jason?
Because size matters.
Well, we know that.
Oh. So it fits in your barrel properly and seals properly?
What do you mean seals? You have
our
barrels or what?
So on cast, your bullet has to fit the barrel properly. If it's slightly undersized to where it doesn't seal properly, you will get gas cutting. And to answer a couple of questions on the chat, yes, the wax is to help seal from gas cutting. So JH586SW has the exact answer.
Welcome back, Tony. So, yeah, I like that. It helps the unloading process. So, and what we mean by gas cutting specifically is, come on. Hang on a second. I got an idea here. So, gas cutting actually literally burns off the back of the bullet. Some light is good. More light's got to be better, right? There we go. Kind of. So.
It focused when you were a little closer, Mike. There.
Yeah. Stupid. There we go. Maybe. I don't know. Sorry, folks. I'm jittery, so that doesn't help. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so when it focuses, you can see how it's kind of almost like a mini boat tail, but it's just a rounded heel on the bullet. Let's move it over. There we go. So, yeah, as you can see right there, you can see the little shine on the top corner there. And that's just kind of just a little bit rounded. And as I bring it up and it stays in focus, you can kind of see it a little more. So what happens is instead of that pushing out on a lead bullet, the reason I'm handling this is because it's not straight lead. So now I don't have to go and wash my hands immediately because I don't have to worry about touching lead. Same thing with the ALOX. The ALOX coating, probably not as well as the high tech or the powder coating or anything like that, but you don't want to be, licking your fingers when you're done playing with bullets that are cast. So, but that's going to keep it from literally cutting apart as it's going down the barrel. So it's almost like somebody took a X-Acto knife and start shaving away around that corner. This is what happens when it starts gas cutting. And once it starts, it doesn't get any better. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay out a bunch of 30 cals. And you get to see all the different options. So, well, at least the different options I have. It's nowhere near the different options that are out there. So, because I don't even have anything heavier than, what is my heaviest? 155? Yeah. So. So we start from left to right here. Actually, sorry, right to left. Anyway, let me get this out of the way and then we'll see if we can get the camera to focus down here. Beauty. Okay, so this one here, 110 grain, 30 cal. Next one's 125 grain, 30 cal. Next one is 150 grain. Next one's also 150 grain. And then the last one is 155 grain. So you can kind of see the differences. And maybe we'll move the camera a little closer and really zoom in here. As it focuses. Come on. All right. This is annoying. There we go. Really? Okay. Sorry about the dead air. Trying to get the camera to focus, and it still doesn't want to play nice. Good grief.
I can't believe that.
Well, I think is what's happening is it's focusing more on the background than the bullets. So. Yeah, it's focusing, it looks like, more on the background than the bullets. So, I don't know. I'll have to play with it and see if we can't get better. In the meantime, as I was moving it around, it focused for a second. Good grief. There we go. Okay. So now you can really see the differences in them. This is a flat base, just because basically, there isn't really much bearing surface. This is the bearing surface right here. And that's the part that's actually going to touch the rifling. And you can see the bearing surface on each bullet changes depending on the grain. Now, these are all 30 cal. So they're all going to shoot out of a 308. Technically, you can shoot them out of a 30-30, but the problem is These two aren't going to lend themselves very well to that because of the tubular magazine. These three would, because they've got the polymer tip. So they're not going to be hard pressing on the primer in the event of, dropping or whatever. So, but you can see the overall length is different. And then the minor changes. Now, see this one here, 125 grain. Look at the size of the boat tail compared to the 150 grain and the size of the boat tail. So it's considerable difference. This one here is a flat base. And then this one here is another boat tail, 155 grain. So if you look at the difference between these two, you can really see the difference in the bearing surface. The Canalure, which is that thing that looks kind of like somebody took a crisscross across it, that is specifically designed for the purpose of crimping. The idea is you take and crimp the case mouth along that, and it doesn't deform the bullet, but you still get a good solid crimp. Depending on how you're actually loading your rounds, you may never get it close enough to actually use that, depending on how far out you're seating the bullets. If you're seating them factory depth, or you're seating them that longer to take advantage, or if you're seating them slightly shorter to fit them in a magazine. So, Jim.
Yeah.
What's ogive?
You got to. You have a ice pick there, Mike. Or something sharp like an ice pick. That's a little bit better. All right, touch the shank of the bullet.
Okay.
Okay. Now you notice the shank of the bullet is cylindrical, just a straight cylinder. All right. Now, Mike, if you would touch the break of the bullet, ogive, and the shank.
Really, a stupid camera.
There we go. There we go. Yeah, that's a lot better, Mike.
So,
yeah.
The nice thing is this one here really shows a difference.
Right. That's a Hornady spire point that helps show the difference of what we're talking about. The ogive is the actual curvature of the nose of the bullet.
Okay.
And I was going to say earlier, Mike, the primary difference between those bullets and the 220 grain bullets that are available is length.
Yeah.
They all come in the Hornady makes them all in spire. Sierra makes them with the TMK, and you can get 200, 180 grain, 200 grain cast bullets. But again, the thing is, with the cast bullets, it's a different shape altogether. They're more about accuracy than anything else. And Mike is having a real problem with his camera right now.
Nope. What Mike's going to show now is, so when I went to Acme, let me straighten the camera out first. There. Okay. So when I went to Acme, it was nice enough to send home a couple things.
Nice bullet board.
Right. So what this does is this shows there are different ones that are high-tack coated. And then specifically, here is one that is coated, and here was one they smashed. So they hit it with a hammer. And, oh, sorry, that one was heated. So this one was heated to beyond melting point, and then this one was smashed. So if you look at a little sideways, you can kind of see that it's a lot flatter than a normal one I showed you earlier. However, the coating's still in place. And if you look on this one here, other than where the lead pooled out, the coating's still in place. So that's why you coat them. And then this here kind of shows your traditional bullets. So how many different types of traditional with the lubed and also your different shot. So like that's double aught buck. That is number 4 buck. That's 36 caliber black powder and 44 caliber black powder. And then the smallest they've got is the 32. So, but that's kind of that. And it looks like I lost a bullet. Oh, well. Oh, there it is. Now, one of the other things is, you know how I said there's a whole bunch of bullets? So this is Sierra's counter map a couple of years ago. They don't have any of their brand new updates. They got a lot of different options there and a lot of different calibers. And then we've got spears. Also a couple of years old, so they've updated these. But this is got all their different types of handgun bullets and rifle bullets, and then it tells you what caliber they make it in and the ballistic coefficient. So they give you important information on these. They'll give you the diameter in inches. They'll give you the weight in grains. They'll give you the ballistic coefficient. And then they give you the bullet construction. So on these, they've got a boat. So they've got, I don't know if I can get any of this to show up well enough. But if you go to Sierra's website or you go to Spear's website, you can kind of look at this a little better. Especially for those of you who are listening on the podcast.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah.
I couldn't help but notice that you had a couple kernels of spilled powder on your bench. It looked like it was extruded powder. Down there where the bullets were.
Oh, yeah.
That might have been from the aluminum foil experiment.
It was actually from when I was filling the Frisbees last week. So,
okay.
But yeah, that's why I put the aluminum foil down.
Anyway, Mike, you just put me in mind of it. What's the difference between a grain of powder and a grain of powder?
Well, technically, a grain of powder is 1/7,000th of a pound. Right. However, a grain of powder is actually more technically a kernel of powder. And so,
okay. Well, you know me, Mike. I have to ask my newcomers questions.
Right. So that right there is a kernel of powder. Although some people call it a grain. And yes, you could get away with calling it a grain, but not necessarily true. Because that little piece right there is not 1/7,000th of a pound.
Well, guys, you got to understand, too, this thing is about the size of a mechanical pencil lead. That's how small these kernels are.
And then when you get into flake and ball, it's even less.
Well, sorry to take and digress from the topic at hand. I just, you talk about measuring bullet weight and grain, and you measure powder and grain. I would just trying to make sure everybody understands. We're not talking about kernels of powder, even though I ask questions in a ridiculous manner. Mike picked up on what I was trying to tell you. Thank you, Mike.
So basically, the kernel weight is going to change, but the grain weight isn't. The grain is consistent. The grain is always 1/7,000th. So, sorry, I had a popping, and I was checking to see if it was loose connection. Okay. So here's a couple of 2.2. So these are for 5.56. or 223 Remington. However, there's a catch. Jason, what's the catch?
They're the same size.
Okay, so a 308 Winchester uses a 308 Winchester bullet, right? 308 diameter.
Correct.
Does a 223 Winchester use a 223 diameter bullet?
A 223 Winchester?
It's a caliber, Jason.
Okay. I am very unfamiliar with 223 Winchester.
All right, 223 Remington. My bad. So a 223 Remington, also commonly referred to by idiots as the evil machine gun round. But more specifically, a 223 Remington or a 5.56. So specifically for the 223s, is it a 223 diameter? Jason, Jeremy, Jim?
I think so. I'm looking for some 223 in here so I can look at
Jason, look at your screen, buddy. Look at your screen. Look at the green box.
Put your glasses on first.
Bite me, Jeremy. 0.224. Okay.
Correct. Sorry, I should have held that one up. It's a little easier to see.
There we go.
All right. So this is a 55 grain, and this is a 69 grain. These are two of the most unpopular hunting style bullets for 223. Not necessarily the weight, but the style. This is a Varmageddon by Nosler, very popular for using for varmints, prairie dogs, et cetera, et cetera. I know a lot of coyote hunters that like to use it because it goes in but doesn't necessarily come out. And then this one is a 69 grain hollow point boat tail match from Sierra, and it is their match king. So a little better quality control on those versus some of your other bullets. When you're talking about Jeremy, what's the technical term for the bullet being consistently round as far as the point where the point's located to everything else, being the point centered?
It'd be run out.
Okay. So
I think he means concentricity, Jeremy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Run out's what you get after you put the
that's it.
bullet. So
I'm not thinking.
Jeremy, you should never leave yourself wide open in this crowd like you just did. Take him, Jason.
Have you ever thought?
At least I can remember it, old man.
Okay, you got me there. I got a question, though. Why is 223, 224, and 308 is 308?
That is a good question.
Where did we get off the trail there?
Because I do believe it has to do with caliber names. As we know, that 30-30 is a 307 diameter bullet. So what I'm talking about is caliber names are not necessarily refer to the bullet diameter. They refer to the cartridge overall. And the thing is with the 223, I think there is 224 Winchester, I think was the correct caliber. And, well, of course, Remington doesn't want to take and copy part of the name of the Winchester caliber, so they came up with their own version of the 223 Remington, and it hit it off great big because, as we all know, any military caliber is almost guaranteed to be a success in the bullet market in the cartridge department. 30-06 was a military round. 308 was 7.62 by 51. That's a military round. 5.56, 223, same cartridge. Same cartridge as far as the brass goes, as far as the bullet goes, but not so much when it comes to the charge inside. We'll get into that later on. Just trust me, you're not supposed to shoot military ammunition in your commercial chambers. Anyway, so Jason, it has to do with the naming of the caliber per se. And like I said, there is such a thing as a 228 caliber too. But that actually does use a larger bullet. But the naming of the caliber is not necessarily diameter related.
Okay.
That's about all I can tell you.
There is a 224 Weatherby and a 224 Winchester.
You cut out, Mike. Say again, please.
So there's a 223, or there's a 224 Weatherby, but I didn't find a 224 Winchester Remington. And there is a 225 Winchester. And by the way, Jim, 3030 does use a 308 bullet.
They must have got it. It must have came out of the Stone Age.
So let's see here. Yeah, there's all sorts of. There's a 222 Remington Magnum, which uses. What the heck? All right. So the 222 Remington Magnum actually uses a 253 bullet. Or no, sorry. It uses a 224. 253 is the outside of the brass. So I was looking to see in the Hornady if it's actually getting any. So 222 Remington came out in 1950. And then the 223 Remington began as a military cartridge in 57 and was later introduced as a commercial round. So let's see here. Doesn't really give an idea why they named it 223. So even though the bullet's 224. So
interesting tidbit about the 222 Magnum is the fact that it's on par with the 223 Remington.
Actually, a little better. It's actually a little longer, holds a little more powder.
You're right. You're right about that. But the military ball ammo, I bet you comes pretty close to matching up with the specs on the 222 Magnum.
Well, no, there's a 222 Remington, and then there's a 222 Remington Magnum.
Yes, sir. I understand that.
And it was actually developed as a competition to the 5.56.
Another interesting tidbit about the 222 Remington cartridge is it held the world's bench press record for quite a while.
Yeah, so I don't see any, other than why they did it, I don't see any valid reasons why they would have named it a 223 instead of a 224. So you know what we're going to blame it on? Drunk engineers. When in doubt, always blame drunk engineers. Like that Brian guy from Canada. So. But, all right, guys. So why don't each of you talk about your favorite style bullet and rifle?
Bullet rifle? What do you mean?
Your favorite style bullet in a rifle caliber.
Oh, okay.
Not in a handgun bullet. Is there one you prefer? Is there a specific style that you prefer over another?
VLD for the win.
And what's VLD?
Very low drag.
That would be a Barnes bullet, would it not?
Not necessarily. That's a description. VLD.
Okay. What does that actually mean then, Jason?
Opposite of me. I'm high drag, low speed.
Mm-hmm.
These are low drag, high speed.
Come on, Jason. You could do better than that.
That was a pretty good description. I don't know.
It was amusing, I'll say that.
So the angle is, how do I word this? More aerodynamic, so it's not quite as blunt.
Okay.
How's that?
Do you happen to have any on hand that are not loaded?
It's my tip,
Okay.
Match King.
Okay, Jason, can you bend your wrist to your right a little bit? So the bullet, yeah, that's perfect. Perfect. Now,
Nope.
what he's trying to say, the ogive is longer on the VLD bullets as opposed to what Mike's showing you there on the 223 Remington bullets, 224 diameter. Is that a nozzler bullet, Mike, the long one, the 69 grain?
No, it's the shorter one's the nozzler.
Okay. But anyway, guys, what we're talking about is the length of the bullet, ogive, the profile of the bullet, and the boat tail of the bullet, which is all part of the profile.
Jason, which caliber was that?
308.
Okay. What grain?
Yeah.
175.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have anything heavy enough to
compare. Jason, do you shoot that in a 30-06?
I haven't yet, but I sure can.
Okay. And you, what other calibers do you know that that bullet can be run through?
300 Win Mag, 300 Rum. It could be run through a 30-30, although
single loaded.
Yeah.
Can you run them in a 308?
You can run them in a 308 because that's what they're for.
What about 300 Blackout?
You could run them in a 300 Blackout.
What we're talking about is the spectrum of calibers, folks. All the way from the dinky little 300 Blackout to the great big air splitting Loudon Boomer 300 Remington Ultra Magnum, 300 Rum.
Tony Sirocco, that is a Sierra tipped Match King.
Okay.
He asked a question.
What was the question? Okay, go ahead, Mike.
What manufacturer is that bullet?
So, Robert wants to know, or hey, Jeremy, are you done with your Grendel yet?
No, not yet. I'm getting ready to order the barrel and the BCD probably in the next week. Waiting on tax money to get here.
I hear that. All right, guys. Jeremy, what's your favorite style bullet?
Well, it depends on what I'm doing.
Excellent answer. Excellent answer.
Well, I mean,
Yes,
even in
it is.
rifle, it depends on what I'm doing. If I'm hunting, I generally go with a partition because they tend to open at slower speed. So, I ain't got to make a load that's going to kill my shoulder, and I've done reduced recoil loads for my youngest daughter up to a, kind of a bare minimum low side of the powder charge for my 7mm rim mag, that I can go out and say shoot 50, 60 rounds in a day and I'm not hurting. And it'll still open on a deer just fine. Matter of fact, I proved that. I shot a deer at 182 yards this past season with it. It was low, almost a minimum charge for a, what grain is that? I don't remember what grain it was. Either way, it was minimal of the road or minimum powder charge, and it opened great at 182 yards, and it dropped the deer in its tracks. So, and like I said, I can take that load and shoot it 50, 60 rounds in a day of my 7mm rim mag, and it doesn't kill me. For match shooting, I shoot most of the time I shoot Hornaday, but I go through a lot of I shoot the Hornaday boat tail hollow point match bullet, generally the 178 grain. But I do a lot of sorting too on that, so it's not quite as expensive as burgers or other match bullets, but I don't mind having to sort through them if it means paying 50% of the cost of burger bullets. So,
What all are you looking for when you're sorting it?
weight consistency, and I also measure from base to ogive. That way, I know each bullet is getting sheeted to the same depth, which will result in pressures being the same, which will result in velocities being close to the same.
So, when you're talking about weight, what type of weight are you looking at? I mean, are you talking like 155 grain versus 157 grain? Are you talking 155 to like 175, or what exactly are you using to sort the weight?
No, I sort mine in from like say 178 to 178.1. I'll put in the same batch from 178.2 to 178.3. I'll put in the same batch, so forth, so forth. So, I got you. Well, that's how I sort them.
So, if I understand you correctly, Jeremy, you segregate your bullets into groups of plus or minus 1/10, 178.0, 178.1, then 178.2, and 178.3.
Yes. Yeah. I realize you don't see much advantage if you go just all 178s or all 178.1s. I haven't seen that much of an advantage over one or another because I don't have one of those high dollar scales where it measures down to the 0.02 grain weight wise. So I don't see that big of a difference. So that's the reason why I sort mine like that. Now, if I had, I can't remember the name of the scale. It starts with an S. If I had one of those fancy high dollar scales that measures the powder weight down to the 0.02 grains, where you're talking about individual kernels, then I might sort them a little more.
Jim?
And well, Jeremy basically gave the best answer he could, and it's the same answer I'd give you. Depends upon what I'm doing. For hunting, I like a lead round nose bullet, flat base, not round nose, a soft point bullet. I like a flat base. Why? Because I'm not real interested. I know I'm not going to be hunting at 300, 500 yards for whitetail or anything like that. But I have been hunting for years. But now, if I'm going to be going prairie dog hunting or something like that, I want a match bullet for the higher consistency. So what we're talking there is like a jacketed hollow point. Excuse me. But there's also the TMK, tipped Match King. That stuff. Those are all consistent, more consistent than the hunting bullet will be. Yeah, Mike's got a picture there on screen of some 224 diameter bullets.
Nope.
And the 55 grain is touted. Okay, excuse me. The 55 grain bullet is touted as a good hunting bullet, but it's a hunting bullet for prairie dogs. Prairie dogs are crossed about halfway between a squirrel and a groundhog, for those of you Easterners that don't know. And they're pretty easy to kill. All you got to do is hit them. You got to hit them well. You really don't want to hit them in the nose. That's cruel. You don't want to hit them in the tail. That's cruel. But you hit them in the body. They're pretty easy to kill.
Mm-hmm. No, actually, what I've got there on the left is 110 grain 308. The middle is 117 grain 257, and the right, backwards. The left of the screen, the green tip is 100. We'll just do it this way. I think it flips it on this anyway. I think it flips it on the video, and if not, well, then you guys are laughing at me. Either way, you're laughing at me, and I don't really care.
Green.
The green tip is 125 grain 308. The red tip is 110 grain 308. And then the gray tip, also known as a spire point, like Jim likes, is 117 grain 257. So you can see the difference that the caliber makes, and you get an idea why people like the 6.5 so much, and why people like 7mm so much over the 308s and the 30-06s.
Long and lean, like a young man's dream.
Ballistic coefficient, baby. All right. So did anybody define ballistic coefficient yet?
No.
No, we didn't. We should probably do that, huh?
We should probably do that.
You know what we're going to do first?
What?
We are going to put something away. So look at that. All right. So this is all of the Patreons who are eligible for the giveaway currently. The current giveaway is going to be the Wheeler level that we've all played around with and tested and actually kind of really like. So if you listen way back, Jim was talking about his, and then Jeremy and Trevor, or Jason and Trevor, were talking about the other style that they use. And basically what it is, it's a really nice, nifty thing to use to really get your scope mounted. So your crosshairs are level. You don't pick your scope up or your shoulder your rifle, and all of a sudden your crosshairs are tilted down to the left or down to the right. Now you're trying to figure out how you're going to aim. So really make it easier. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click spin, and we're going to see who wins that thing. Exciting, isn't it? It's Troy S. Somebody's got the sound up because I hear an echo. All right. So Troy S, I'll get that in the mail tomorrow because you are now the proud owner of a level. I'm guessing it's
Yes,
Jeremy.
someone's eating corn or something. Somebody's eating popcorn, sounds like.
Jeremy, what you eating? And why aren't you sharing?
Huh?
Said, what you eating and why aren't you sharing?
I don't know. My painkillers got my stomach upset.
Oh, that's not good. That's not
on some dry.
all right. So,
Sorry.
no, you're fine. We just had to give you crap. All right. So, in ballistics, the ballistic coefficient of a body is a measure of its ability to overcome air resistance in flight. It is inversely proportional to the negative acceleration. A high number indicates a low negative acceleration. The drag on the projectile is small in proportion to its mass. So what the heck does that mean?
Yeah, what
Well,
he said.
Yeah, what he said. Basically, like Jason's VLD bullet, it's very streamlined. But like Mike's semi-wad cutters, they're about as streamlined as a brick.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe those particular bullets have somewhere in the low twos, maybe high twos coefficient, whereas Jason's bullets are somewhere around 0.6, 0.65.
So what you're saying is a higher ballistic coefficient is efficient to use?
I'm sorry, Mike, you cut out.
So what you're saying is a higher ballistic coefficient bullet, a bullet with a higher number in the ballistic coefficient rating, is a better bullet to use if you're looking at longer distances?
Yes, sir.
So
you could conceivably use those cast bullets that you have there, Mike, in a 40 caliber rifle, conceivably, but you're not going to get any real distance out of it. But it's just that simple because they don't fly nearly as well through the air as a streamlined VLD, very low drag projectile will. Right, Mike's case, his countermount out. 140 grain Boto, don't move a thing. Game King, that's a 7mm caliber. BC at 375. Now notice, guys, that the weight of the bullet goes up. 150 grain, same row. 150 grain Sierra Bowtail, or soft point Bowtail. It's a Game King bullet. It's BC of 436. You go to this 140 grain soft point, 0.37. And the 140 grain hollow point bowtail, interestingly enough, even though it's got that blunt nose, it's got actually a little bit less BC of 0.375. Mike, can you move that board a little bit down to the heavier 7mm bullets? Notice as he moves, guys, the weight, the heavier bullet goes up. The heavier the bullet is there, right there. That's perfect. That's what I wanted to show you. 175 grain hollow point bowtail, Match King. BC at 0.608, and they suggest 8.5 twist barrel. Well, I run those same bullets in my 260 or 280 rather, with a 1 9 twist. Mike, can you show me the 180 grain in the 7mm? 0.660. Look at that beautiful profile, though. A nice close point.
That's sexy.
Yes, yeah. Sir.
So then, as we were talking,
right, 0.4147, 0.175. That thing's like basically like throwing a rock.
Yep. So I wanted to show you.
Kind of like a Ferrari compared to a Jeep driving down the freeway. A Jeep is like a barn door going through the wind.
Mm-hmm. Very well put, Jason. Very well put.
Whatever, Jim.
Like a Hummer versus a versus a Porsche.
So if you look at the 180 grain jacketed hollow point, it's got a ballistic coefficient of 1.140. And then if we slide over, 230 grain 45. This is their match tournament master. So this is one they actually spent a little bit of effort on trying to get it to be a little more consistent. It still has a ballistic coefficient of 140. That's like Jim says, throwing a brick through the wind. Now, we get into some of the long range kings here. We start looking at 338s. And you're talking about a 250 grain with a ballistic coefficient of 587.
You don't have a 300 grain 338 there?
No, this one's a couple old. A couple years old.
That's a lot of bullet to be thrown out there. 250 grain hollow point bowtail match king.
Oh boy.
BC .587. I fired a 338 a few times, and I'm going to tell you what, it'll wake you up.
So to give a comparison, we're going to look at the 215 here with a ballistic coefficient of 485, and then we're going to come down to 308 and compare it to the 220. Just these two here, you can compare. So you get a 220 round nose, a ballistic coefficient of 310. And then just right above it, one that's just made for sleek beauty, to go through the wind. It's got a ballistic coefficient of 629. So,
and when Mike says 308, he's talking about the size of the bullet, not the round itself.
Yep. See, Jim? 30 caliber, 30-30, 308. Number of the bullet.
Okay. I believed you. When I first started reloading 30-30, you could buy 307 diameter bullets.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure there's probably some out there when you slug the barrels too. So, and it's all these different. So let's see here, 6.5. One of the favorites that I've heard of is for the 6.5 Creedmoors is the 140 grain. So that's a 535. And then you got the Game King, which is slightly different. Now this is one of those. This is older. So this is a Match King, and this is one of those bullets they went through, I believe, and they put the tip in to increase the ballistic coefficient. So what I'm curious about is how much should that improve ballistic coefficient? So that's the big question. So let's look that up quick. Now, Robert Fair wants to know, what's a good middle range between ballistic coefficient and hunting effectiveness? Does a high BC make a difference? That's a good question.
In terminal performance or for, long range? Like Jeremy said, we keep saying, Robert, it's all about what you want to do.
Yeah, he wants to know about specifically for, does a high BC help in hunting?
Well, indirectly, yes, I would say, because the higher BC means the bullet retains more velocity over long range.
But high BC does not kill the animal, whereas an expansion would.
Mm-hmm. That's why Sierra tells us that the Game King and the Match King are two different bullets. They're not. One is not designed to take in. The Match Kings are not designed for hunting.
Yep.
For the good expansion, for reliable expansion. My own son has used Sierra Match King for hunting deer, and he tells me, Dad, those things are crazy effective. He says that they'll literally. I knew a guy that took a front shoulder off of a deer, the opposite shoulder, because the bullet was so violent in its expansion. Once it went through the animal, it took the shoulder right off. That's not necessarily what you want. You know, he lost a good bit of meat by doing that. And also, you know, it was good bullet placement, but you know, it's not necessarily what you want.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're not out there. We're not out there to kill. We're out there to take and harvest the game, ethically and cleanly. Well, it was ethical and it was clean, but well, maybe not so much ethically, but it was definitely clean.
Okay, so first off, Jeremy says sorry he had to go. Hopefully he'll be feeling better. So that spring looks goofy. So there, that spring's out of the way. So I'm on Sierra's website here, and I'm going to share it so you all can see what I'm looking at again. So we've got the 264 grain here, the 140 grain.
264 diameter.
Yeah, 264 diameter, 140 grain. They've got the hollow point boat tail match king. Looks like they don't have. Okay, so they don't have the tipped in the 140. So we'll go back to the 130 here. So we've got the hollow point boat tail. That's a dang it. Why can't you people have stuff that I want to compare? Buttheads. All right. I'll find it eventually.
Mike?
Yes.
Go down 2 lines. There's a 264 diameter, 6.5, 142 grain, hollow point boat tail match king. Yep. I would think 2 grains is close enough.
But I want to tip
to the tipped. Well, you know.
Because the tip's 130 grain. So looks like I know they've got a couple in 308 that are an option. So
well, you could change calibers to go up to 30 caliber.
Yeah, that's where I'm headed. So I think.
So maybe I see.
30 rounds. Okay, so here we've got 175 grain hollow point boat tail match king, and then we've got the same 175 grain with a tipped. So what we want to do is compare. So this one here is a 505 ballistic coefficient. And then the tipped is 545. So all they did is they changed the hollow point out for a tip. Some people call it a polymer tip. Some people call it a ballistic tip. I don't know. I'm sure somebody's probably got it copyrighted. So, but you're talking 0.04 of a difference in ballistic coefficients at 2,400 feet per second. So that is huge. That's the difference between, you know, especially these are designed, this specific one's designed for F class. So, I mean, you're talking maybe, you know, 1/10 of an inch at 600 yards. It'd be the difference between the 2 bullets for the ballistic coefficient.
Well, you're also talking the difference between an X ring and a 10 ring.
Right. So let's see if there's another couple we can compare. The tipped ones are kind of really new, so I mean, they're still playing with them. So here we go. All right. So we've got 155 grain hollow point boat tail palmas. So those are specifically for the palma. And this one here, 504 at 2,700 feet per second, 470 at 18 to 27. More than likely, you're probably going to be driving these, I would say, probably between 18 and 27 for most people. It's going to be a lot of people, if they're pushing them 2,700 and above, are going to be specifically like the really long distance shooters. Now for the tipped, you're looking at 519 and 490. So that jumps quite a bit, at least when you start slowing it down. But also look at the speed ratings. This one's 1,900 feet per second and above versus 2,700. So why do you think speed makes a difference in ballistic coefficient? The bullet shape's the same.
Simple. The faster it moves, the less gravity has effect on it, which over time. And the other thing is too, better wind resistance. It'll flow through the air better. So we're talking left and right with the wind. We're talking vertically with the elevation, with the vertically with the higher speed. So that's, it's really simple. It flies better through the air.
So Tony asked about terminal ballistics, and I don't know if they really post that anymore. I haven't really seen a lot of that, even for your hunting bullets. Your true, like your game. Let's see if they've got anything for game kings. Yeah, I don't see.
I would like to ask a question of Tony. Does Tony mean terminal performance or terminal ballistics?
That's a good question, Tony. Let's ask him.
Sorry to split hairs like that. It's just I think that's what he means. How effective a round nose bullet would be more effective than a full metal jacket for obvious reasons.
Okay, so he said performance.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So terminal performance, I guess that's going to be dependent on what your distance is, first and foremost.
And the construction of your bullet.
Right. So I think they do a lot more study on that, specifically in pistols, especially with like the FBI tests. So, and Tony said it's part of Robert Fair's question when you're talking about middle range between ballistic coefficient and hunting effectiveness. So, does high BC make a difference? The biggest thing with hunting, when you're talking about hunting bullets, is weight retention. And just looking at the Sierra chart, they don't honestly list a lot of that. I mean, that's going to be stuff you're going to be digging more in your reloading books, or specifically areas that test. So like Sierra has a section about bullet selection, and it starts out, there is no universal bullet. That is, no single bullet for all shooting applications and all shooting conditions. So, and it gives you the different options, and it says, the information below has been prepared to help you choose the right Sierra bullet for you in any application, whether hunting or target shooting. And the next thing is key. Bullet selection is, of course, a personal preference, but there are some important technical considerations that must be addressed. And so then they go down and they break them down into their match kings and their hornets and their blitz kings and their varminters, their pro hunters, their game kings. They talk about the different purpose behind each bullet class, and then they kind of discuss bullet designs and go through that. So,
well said, Mike. That's the way it is.
Yeah, well, that's off Sierra's website, so not my words.
Well, like the man said, the man's asking for a mid-range one that'll perform well in both cases. There isn't really one. You need to take and develop two different loads, is what I would tell you. One for hunting and one for long range.
Yeah, I honestly don't like. To give you an idea, the 117 grain that I got down there for the 257. Do you really think that's a high ballistic coefficient? Probably not. Fire point. So
that's an awful, to my way of thinking, out of a Weatherby Magnum caliber, that's an awfully light bullet.
Well, it's a 257 Weatherby, so they definitely the whole entire thing is light. Heaviest bullet's 120 grain for that.
or the 243 Winchester and the 6mm Remington cartridge. They both use the heaviest bullet made for those is 105, maybe 115, I think. And it's like it's not really that much different in diameter than the 243 is, but oh my God, what a difference in the velocity and the caliber.
Currently, the heaviest bullet Hornady makes for that is the 117 grain. So, actually, they don't even offer 120 grain. Then they go into the 6.5s and start over with a 95. So, the 257 range is, holy crap, 60 grain. Oh my goodness, I don't think you could load that in a
Ooh, talk about Egersplit Ladenboomer.
75 grain VMAX. Oh yeah, let's go coyote hunting.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so use 117 grain boat tail soft spire point. Let's see if they've got the ballistic coefficient on that puppy here.
Talk about turn the animal inside out. He'll do the field dressing for you.
Ballistic coefficient is 391. So versus the other option they have, which is the SST. Come on. So ballistic coefficient on that is 390 again. So it doesn't seem to be much different there, which is weird. You'd think that the ballistic tip would have a little better. But they also have 117 round nose. Come on. Which then you're talking
25 caliber?
Yes. 117 grain round nose, which now has a ballistic coefficient of 243. So, but yeah, just kind of, different options, different grains. And then how fast you're pushing it. The nice thing about Hornadays is they list all of their ballistic coefficients right on the front page for all the bullets. So as you're scrolling through the different bullet types for hunting, it's going to tell you the ballistic coefficient of it. And then it lists two different options for ballistic coefficient. It lists a G1 grade and then a G7. And that I don't remember off the top of my head. So we're going to look that up quick.
The G1 is the older standard. The G7 is a new standard for measuring ballistic coefficient. I don't know a whole lot about it, but I did get that much from Brian Litz.
Okay.
You'll notice that the G7 numbers are lower, but in effect, they're actually better than the G1 numbers.
I believe, if I recall correctly, that it has something to do with the shape of the bullet. So the military came up with that, but I mean, you might be talking like a 45-degree tip compared to a 70-degree tip, something like that.
So the biggest difference says G1 versus G7. It's aerodynamic drag models based on a particular standard projectile shape. So in G1, the standard projectile is going to be your flat base bullet. Your good old-fashioned flat base. Whereas the G7 uses a boat tail. And anybody who knows anything about bullets, the boat tail really decreases the amount of drag. So it's going to change your ballistic coefficient numbers. So that's why there's the new standard. So basically, you're going to use one versus the other depending on the type of bullet you're using. So,
well, the other point is too, at typical handgun ranges, we'll say 25 to 50 yards at the most, that particular BC isn't going to mean diddly in practical, real bare knuckles kind of terms. Whereas, you're talking 300 to 500 to 700 yards, the BC is going to mean a whole lot.
Yeah. So I'll include this where I got this information. It's bulletin accurate shooter, and it looks like it's more stuff from Brian Litz. But this is all the way back January 7th of 2013. So it's been out there for a while, but it doesn't mean it's bad information. That's the thing, is just because something's been out there a while doesn't mean it's bad information. So keep that in mind.
Brian Litz. What does he know? Everything.
Right?
He's the 2 mile king. He's working on a 2 mile shoot.
Yeah.
He's not the record holder. Somebody else got the record before he did. But Brian is organizing a 2 mile club.
Good.
Over 10,500 feet with one shot and scoring hits. That's a rather exclusive club.
Yep. All right, folks. I want to thank everybody for tuning in live. I want to thank everybody for hanging with us as we go through stuff. So, what do you mean, Tony? Check their patrician bullets versus high BC? That doesn't make any sense.
Partition.
Oh,
Partition. Yeah.
Okay.
Jeremy's partition bullets for hunting.
Let's see who makes that's Nosler. So
Right.
Nosler.
All right, so we'll bebop on over to Nosler and take a look and compare the coefficient on the partition bullets versus the others. So, basically, the partition means it's the design of the bullet. So, and they've got all sorts of different types of bullets on there. So, let's see here. Search by car. So we can search by cartridge. So we're going to do 308 wins. So we're all dealing with the same stuff here. And then what? They make a defense? Who the heck's going to use? Oh, I suppose. Never mind. An AR-10. Duh.
Tony, just so you know, a patrician is an aristocrat or nobleman. So this is the Reloading podcast, just so you're aware. Right.
Ow.
I see somebody else gets made fun of for once.
Yeah, it's nice to see one of the listeners get one.
All right. So the AccuBond is going to be their partition or their specific partition. It's in their usually loaded in their trophy grade. So let's see. Do they have 150? No, they don't. So they just have 165. And then we want 165 match grade custom competition. That's 168. Oh, what's 3 grains between friends? Well, that sucks. They don't give ballistic coefficient. All right. So that shot right in the foot.
Bastards.
Rotten iotas. Okay, so that was a nice thought, but yeah. Maybe it's under information instead of ballistics. Let's go wander over there and check out. No, that's just talking to you about the difference between the different. Yeah. All right. So they don't give ballistic coefficient. So yeah, that was kind of a fun trip for no reason. You know, grain to grain weight to grain weight, you're going to have slightly different coefficients. Bullet design is going to be your biggest difference, especially if it's the same grain. Hollow point versus ballistic tip, spire point, round nose. All of those are going to take a difference. And then your ballistic coefficient can actually vary from bullet to bullet depending on the concentricity of it. So there's lots of different things to look at when you're getting serious about this hobby. So
thickness of the bullet jacket can affect it.
Yeah. So Tony, it's okay. We won't harp on you too much about your spelling.
Because I'm no better.
If you're thin-skinned, this is not the podcast for you.
Exactly. So, let's see if I can look around my microphone here. Now let's just pull the camera out. All right. So Patriot Patch Company was having a warehouse sale, and I ordered a couple of more patches. Come on, focus. Yeah, look at that. Lead delivery.
Bet.
So, yeah, I got some more patches and fun stuff, and they've got a warehouse sale going on right now. So check it out, patriotpatch.co. Also, like I said earlier, we gave away a level to a patron, a Patreon, or as the guy in the north says, Patreonies. That guy that hates brass prep. So Robert says we should blame Tony's screw up on autocorrect. Sure, yeah. We'll stretch that out there. Damn autocorrect. So, if you're going to stop by Buckeye Targets, make sure you use the promo code RLP or it's either RLP10 or reloading, and you get 10% off. Like I said, they've got lots of good steel stuff, but they also have paper targets. So definitely check them out. Want to thank everybody who tunes in every week, whether that's the people that tune in for the shenanigans during the live show or the people who tune in for the audio podcast. By the way, sorry about the 7 minutes of dead air. I didn't realize it, and by the time Jason told me about it, it had already been up for well over 24 hours, and or almost 24 hours, and most of the downloads are within the first 24 hours. So, sorry about that. Hopefully none of you really listen to the 7 minutes of dead air other than Jason, and that's because that's Jason. So he's kind of goofy like that. Stay with us, man. Don't die. So
no, I'm dying.
You wish. So next week, since Trevor's going to be back, we're going to talk about brass and start to get into brass prep. Yeah, he was thoroughly amused when I told him that we were saving brass for him. All right. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Thank everybody that especially that sends us emails and sends all the comments and questions and gives us crap in the Reloading Podcast group or on the Reloading Podcast page, sends us private messages, interacts with us in the Reloading Room also. There's lots of resources out there. The Reloading Room is a great place to go to get your questions answered. If you want questions answered on the show, send them to us either reloadingpodcast@gmail.com or swing over to the Reloading Podcast page on Facebook. Leave us a message there. If you're shopping Brownells or you're shopping Amazon, swing over to firearmsradio.tv/reloading-podcast and hit up the affiliate links. Yeah, it's a couple extra steps, but we greatly appreciate it. It helps the network, helps us. The other way you can help us financially, if you are able, is to become a Patreon. And as you saw tonight, or heard tonight, we actually do give stuff away. It's been kind of a while, but yeah, we gave away a level tonight. We're climbing on Patreon, so the being able to actually test, demo, and then give away a Dillon 650 is becoming a reality. So that's definitely something on the radar for possible giveaway towards the fall. Yes, that's right. I said testing, and then giving away a Dylan 650. So definitely even more of a reason to become a Patreon. If you can. Now, obviously, if you can't, by all means, the best thing you can do, the best way you can participate in the show is to give us feedback. That is honestly the best. We love it. We appreciate it. Tony did find a ballistic coefficient. He says the 180 grain partition 308 is 474. So that's awesome.
What's a partition?
That was what he was trying to say earlier.
Oh, the patrician.
Yeah, the patrician, but his fingers didn't work. At least he didn't say pediatrician. So he did have to hunt for it, but he found it. So yay, Tony, thanks. So all right, gang. If there's anything you want to know about brass, for those of you who especially tuning in now, send us an email, gmail.com. The show will post Sunday night, so hopefully most of you, a good portion of you probably hear it before Tuesday. Shoot us an email.
Whatever, Tony.
Oh, that's gonna leave a mark. Hey, we're not announcing that one. You actually got to tune into the live show to figure out what Tony just said. So, like I said, we're here every Tuesday night, 7:00 Central. I usually post a link in the Reloading Podcast group and Reloading Podcast Facebook page, somewhere between a half hour to an hour beforehand. Otherwise, you can just go stalk our YouTube page for as long as it exists. Yeah, if you don't know what's going on with that, start paying a little more attention. Yeah, we'd have a lot of fun here. We have a lot of fun tuning in. Yeah, occasionally some dead air that you guys don't have to hear on the podcast, but the more we do video, the better off we're getting. So we appreciate everybody hanging out with us, and we appreciate everybody that gives us feedback and tunes in and everything. So on that note, yes, next week he's actually going to get to hopefully say it in person. Brass prep does suck.
On time.
Maybe. Okay. And even though he does say that, I still say keep that brass shiny.
And keep your powder dry.
Well, since we'll just be nice. Jeremy had to go, so we'll just say aim small, miss small. And like I always say, squeeze. Don't yank the trigger.
You got to squeeze.
Squeeze.